Welcome to another book recommendation suitable for the IEB English Home Language requirement of 7 additional books, which must be read by the middle of your grade 12 year. You will be assessed orally on your reading of these books. Today I am recommending Imaginary Friend by Stephen Chbosky. It's very long at 706 pages and does contain some explicit language, especially towards the end when the action gets rather wild. Stephen Chbosky is an American author. Some of you might have read his first novel, The Perks of Being a Wallflower, which was made into a movie starring Emma Watson. 20 years lapsed between the publication of Wallflower and this book, Imaginary Friend. The two novels couldn't be more different. I chose to place a different cover version of the novel on this slide, as it conveys far better than the black and white South African edition something of the genre of the novel. If you're into creepy, suspenseful fantasy stories, like those written by Stephen King, you'll love this one. I am sure that Stephen Chbosky, who is a renowned screenwriter, is working on the movie script for this novel. As I was reading, I could imagine the creepy setting, the suspenseful music, and the horror of some of the scenes, particularly when carnivorous children, seemingly blind characters with zips for mouths, make an appearance. The South African front cover shows the branches of a tree with a door opening into another world. The novel is weird, it's scary, there's violence and blood, and there are elements of the supernatural. My advice to you is that you don't read it alone at night. You might end up having nightmares. The blurb on the back cover reads as follows: Imagine leaving your house in the middle of the night, knowing your mother is doing her best, but she's just as scared as you. Imagine starting a new school, making friends, seeing how happy it makes your mother, hearing a voice calling out to you. Imagine following the signs into the woods, going missing for 6 days, remembering nothing about what happened. Imagine coming back a totally different person, thinking you're going crazy or being the only one who knows what's coming. Imagine something that will change everything, and having to save everyone you love. The main character of most of the novel is Chris, the 7-year-old son of a single mum. He's a bit of an outcast who struggles at school because of his dyslexia. His mum moves to a new town to escape an abusive partner. Chris has to fend for himself against school bullies. We initially think that he escapes into an imaginary world in the nearby woods as a coping mechanism to escape the misery of his life. But we soon find out that he's somehow connected to another young boy, Dave Olson, who lived in the town and disappeared in the woods more than 50 years before. Chris and his mum moved to Millgrove, a small town in the USA. Their house is next to the Mission Street woods. Chris disappears into the woods for 6 days, leaving his mother, the sheriff, and the townsfolk of Millgrove frantically searching for him. When he emerges unscathed, he is a changed boy. Against his mother's wishes, Chris keeps returning to Mission Street woods, along with his few outcast and misfit friends from his new school, where they build a tree house with a door into an imaginary world. The woods are not a friendly, safe space. They are dark and menacing. There are weird deer with glowing eyes that appear at the oddest times. And we realize early on there is something really evil in these woods. Reading the first page of the novel to you is problematic, as the novel begins with a prologue in which we are introduced to Dave Olson, a young boy who has been missing, presumed dead, for 50 years. It's only later in the novel that we realize that what happened to young Dave Olson is happening to Chris Reese, our protagonist. Listen as I read you the first page from the prologue. Don't leave the street. They can't get you if you don't leave the street. Little David Olson knew he was in trouble. The minute his mother got back with Dad, he was going to get it. His only hope was the pillow stuffed under his blanket, which made it look like he was still in bed. They did that on TV shows. But none of that mattered now. He had snuck out of his bedroom and climbed down the ivy and slipped and hurt his foot. But it wasn't too bad. Not like his older brother playing football. This wasn't too bad. Little David Olson hobbled down Hayes Road, the mist in his face, the fog settling in down the hill. He looked up at the moon. It was full. The second night it had been full in a row. A blue moon. Well, that's what his big brother told him. Like the song that Mom and Dad danced to sometimes, back when they were happy, back before David made them afraid. Blue moon. Little David Olson heard something in the bushes. For a second he thought it might be another one of those dreams. But it wasn't. He knew it wasn't. He forced himself to stay awake. Even with his headaches, he had to get there tonight. A car drove past, bathing the fog in headlight. Little David Olson hid behind a mailbox as rock and roll poured from the old Ford Mustang. A couple of the teenagers laughed. A lot of kids were being drafted into the army, and drunk driving was on the rise. Well, that's what his dad said anyway. David, a voice whispered, hispered, hiss. Did someone say it? Or did he just hear it? Who's there? David said. If you're interested in hearing about more books that are suitable for the IEB 7 books requirement, please subscribe to the Mrs. M Teaches English YouTube channel so that you're notified when I post the next book recommendation. Until then, keep on reading, everybody.